but the technical side of things is what's really disappointed me here. From both of them, to be honest, I expected better, and that's all it is. Welcome to Thursday, and welcome to another video in which I discuss things on the internet likely surrounding something fitness related. Somewhat slightly different, but also not slightly different. And by that I mean, normally when I discuss somebody, I discuss like a few of their videos and maybe take aspects of this and this and kind of bring them together and react to different bits and bobs. But this video in particular has actually been quite requested. It's a video that Hanna Öberg did with Keltie O'Connor, both of whom very well-known names in the world of fitness. And a few people actually sent me this video and actually asked me to discuss it due to what was occurring in the video. We're gonna do just that. We're gonna deep dive, analyze, and something else with eyes at the end of it that rhymes this video. Before we do, a few things must occur. We're throwing out the intermission early this time because I want to get your attention. I know I've got it. If you are liking the video, I'm gonna give you a challenge. Instead of like, oh, 500 likes on the video, you know what? Challenge time. 500 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal. You didn't expect that one, did you? But you know, shocking the people, confusing them. Again, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you did do so. Click the red button down below and the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. Because if you don't, I will probably cry, then Austin's gonna have to pick up the pieces. And on top of that, at the end of the video, we do comment question of the week. If you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below in the comment section and I shall do so. This is a bit of a double whammy today because I know the headpiece, or technically the headpieces in the last video, went down a treat. You were a fan, and you know what? I'm a fan of you, so thank you. You ready for the double whammy? That's not it. Oh, I can't breathe. If I wear it higher... Also, I know what you're thinking, me wearing this. Don't make the comments that I know you're going to make. Behave yourself. A certain few individuals specifically. So if you feel called out by what I'm saying, I'm calling you out. Video time. Let's have a gander. Let's look at the screen. What's occurring? How we fixed her pancake butt with these 7 exercises. I don't know much about Keltie, to be honest, so I can't actually make a comment. But Hanna Öberg is somebody who I have covered briefly in the past and somebody who I am actually quite a fan of. Depth is a shambles. It's not looking good, Keltie, unfortunately. And I believe that's technical failure on her behalf. I don't think the weight itself is necessarily too heavy for her. I think she has the strength to do so. I think technically she may not be that comfortable with the squat. Another thing you'll notice, if we scroll back slightly, look at the feet. Elevation of the heels. As she comes up, you can see she's pushing a lot of her weight towards the front of the foot, which explains that when she gets to the lock-up portion of the rep where she's trying to explode upwards, the heels are coming off the ground. When you're squatting, at no point should the heels come off the ground. The basic cue for beginners is push your weight through the heels. That's not actually necessarily the best cue regarding weight distribution on the foot. I think realistically, the best thing to do when squatting is pushing the weight through the midfoot. A great way to do that is by putting pressure on your big toe, little toe, and heel, creating like a triangle of pressure, thus helping you evenly distribute the pressure. See, obviously Hannah's weight distribution is a lot better. The depth is still not there though. You'll see how the hip crease is above the top of the knee. It's a lot of weight, don't get me wrong, she's shifting some solid weight. Technically, a lot could be improved. There's no external rotation of the hips. You saw a bit of a twitch going inwards. Twitch going inwards is fine. A slight knee cave when getting forced out the hole, it is fine. It's a driving factor of getting out the hole. No external rotation of the hips here, which means the glutes aren't doing the job they should really be doing. She's obviously got the belt on, but for what purpose? It's all well and good having a belt on. I fully back it. If you can't brace effectively without a belt, I don't personally think you should use a belt. I'm very much a believer in learn the movement without equipment before then adding equipment. She's obviously got the belt on for maybe the psychological support at this stage. I know she's trying to obviously support the lower back and support the core region, but if you're not actively breathing into the belt, thus creating that intra-abdominal pressure, are you really getting much benefit from using the belt? Also, I do want to quick pipe up how we fixed her pancake butt with these 7 exercises. I feel called out on this. I feel attacked. If you know me, you know I'm a proud member, not that proud, of Team Dead Glutes. One too many people have referred to my ass as a pancake. There's no fixing needed, you know. If you have a pancake butt, so do I, and it's beautiful. That sounds a bit weird me saying, but you know what? We can be beautiful together. Don't dead glute shame me. One day I'll have juicy glutes. All the people saying, oh, Harry, you got dead glutes or you got pancake butt. You know who you are. you'll be sorry. Again, same thing occurring here with Hanna. It's moving well. She's obviously got the strength to do so. The depth, it's a bit more favourable from this angle, but ultimately I do think the same applies. I don't think depth is there. The knees are in a much better position. You could almost argue her toes could probably go out a little bit more, which could then potentially help with external rotation of the hips, which may aid her in hitting depth. The wrist being cocked back at the top, personally, if you have the mobility to do so, I'm always a big fan of keeping your wrists and elbows in one line. So we're trying to avoid this. We kind of want this. Pull down on the back and create that shelf. That's another thing a lot of people forget to do when squatting, is they just let the bar hang, as Hanna kind of is doing here. What you should be doing is when you're in that squat position, your hands aren't there just to stop the bar from rolling off your back. They do much more than that. I treat it like a pull down, pulling that bar into my back, thus enhancing upper back tightness. So I'm creating a shelf with my back for that bar to rest on. Because when you get tired and when you do hit the point of fatigue and maybe even close to failure, when you come up, your upper back is going to start going, you're going to start rounding, you're going to start shrugging up. It's all going to fall to pieces. When you're locked in, you've got that upper back solid as a rock. It's going to be harder for that to occur. It does seem like Hanna is breathing into her chest here rather than her stomach. Obviously with the belt you want to breathe into the belt. I feel like Hanna might not be doing that here. I say that because as you saw there, when she takes that breath there's a bit of shoulder elevation, which does imply she is breathing into the chest rather than the stomach. When you are bracing your core for a squat, this shouldn't occur. When I brace for a squat, I go... all my air's gone to my stomach. My shoulders have not moved. And that's kind of how it should be in most cases. Another thing is the shoes are a bit of a problem. Hanna's shoes, top tier, love lifting Converses. A few things do need to be addressed with both of their squats, to be honest. More so with Keltie. Like, learn how to actually brace your core efficiently and effectively. Depth. I do feel like Hanna's toes pointing quite excessively forward might contribute to the inability to hit depth. Point them out slightly, maybe even adopt a bit of a wider stance, because it does look like she's kind of low barring, so therefore a wider stance is usually a bit more comfortable. Keltie, I think, is a question of lack of technical practice, maybe lack of mobility too, and potentially also lack of confidence. Hitting depth in the squat is actually very much a mental game as well, because you get worried, oh, if I get into the hole, I'm worried I won't be able to get out of it. Sometimes you got to take that risk. That's why you got a spotter. Worst comes to worst, drop the bar off backwards, roll forward. See, the hack squat is a phenomenal movement. Honestly, for lower body, especially for the ability of the quads, the hack squat is phenomenal. The issue here you'll see is Hanna's lower back is coming off. You don't want that to occur. Same with leg press as well. That lower back wants to be planted on that pad. Do not let it come off, because now a lot of pressure is going through that lower back, and we don't want that. Because of the angled foot plate and the angle of the machine itself, it's really easy to hit depth. As in, you can literally bury it to the floor for a lot of people without any issues. And yeah, sure, if you want to wear a belt on this, go for it. The depth is obviously better, as you'll see. She's hitting the stop at the bottom. I don't know if she's placed that there herself, or if that's as low as it goes, but to us, you could justify going lower. I think what would help her get a little bit lower is the stance. As you see, her feet are very close together. One way I argue might be a bit more quad dominant. Take the stance out a little bit, maybe bring the feet up a bit on the pad, and just hammer that depth. So you'll see Keltie's feet are a lot higher up. The depth, again, it's not there. Maybe it's a new movement and she's not familiar with it, in which case, take the weight down to nothing and just hammer the depth without any weight before you can start adding weight. I feel like because of it's a raw and real workout for the YouTube, I feel like this video is really a display of ego lifting in a lot of cases. Like, we already know Hanna's an extremely strong individual. She's allowing the weight to get the better of her in order to shift more for the camera. I feel like Keltie may not necessarily be as technically advanced as Hanna, but I still feel like she may be showing off on camera and maybe trying like keep up with Hanna as best as she can by not lifting within her means. Technique comes first. The weight comes second, you know. You've got to prioritize the technique, because you risk hurting yourself, you risk losing effectiveness and efficiency of the movement, thus limiting the progress you may make. Therefore, kind of the movement is no longer optimal. The workout and the session is no longer optimal for the purpose of building muscle and gaining strength. You know, we love a hip thrust here, one of my favorite glute movements. She's doing like 1.5 reps, in which she does a full rep, comes halfway down, goes up again, all the way down. It's a great movement. It's a great intensifier. If you want to make a movement harder, doing 1.5 rep variations is a means of doing so. But again, time and place. I wouldn't do it on everything. Personally, I do things like this, like 1.5 reps on isolation movements like the leg curl, for example. When I'm doing those 1.5 reps, I'm lying looking at that bench. It sees me, I see it. I'm there, completely ignoring Bullet for My Valentine at this stage. They tell me tears don't fall. I say, you know what, I think they might. I'm about to start singing Coldplay Fix You. I'm in so much pain. I'm feeling pretty emotional about it. And I'm just there like, why has one machine caused me so much pain? Sorry for taking you on that emotional journey with me. I got a bit lost in the moment there. Same with Keltie, her technique is actually pretty solid on this. I think you can maybe just maybe bring the heels in a little bit. They seem potentially a bit far away. So here we've got like a landmine deadlift variation. It's not looking too spicy. She's now initiated the movement. Head position is fine. She's obviously looking down, but there is a clear rounding of the back here. As I said before, technically rounding the back in the deadlift isn't a bad thing necessarily, provided the back angle remains consistent. I feel like in this case, this is not done so intentionally. This is perhaps done so due to lack of upper body tightness and due to lack of technical capabilities. So what I would do in this situation, retract the shoulder blade. I like to tuck my shoulder blades into my back pockets. So shoulder blades back and down. That then helps bring in the lats, keeps them locked in and firing, whilst also allowing the chest to rise a little bit, a bit more of an upright torso, which we do like. And I feel like that would likely help with a lot of these technical hindrances Keltie might be experiencing here. It's actually a landmine RDL, really kicking the hips back, which is what we love to see. The knee angle's not really changing. Head position's maybe a bit too upright, might be worth just looking down a bit. A lot of people, when they do RDL or stiff leg variations, they go down and up. You don't want to just go down and up. As soon as you start going down and up, the weight's kind of pushing away from you. What I like to do is a hip hinge movement, so hinge at the hips. So by that I mean is you just kick your hips back. So I almost like to say, imagine you're trying to get your bum to the wall behind you, whilst keeping the slight bend in the knee consistent. Hannah's getting right to the floor, as you see, her knee is tickling the floor. Keltie, the range of motion is a bit limited. I understand she's much taller, greater range of motion, further distance to travel and all that jazz. I do feel like the range of motion is being neglected here, which is potentially hindering how effective this movement is. Provided you have the mobility to do so, because obviously this very much depends on mobility allowances. Really try and get your knee as close to the floor as you can. Maybe hip flexor tightness perhaps, or lack of hip mobility as a whole. Maybe even ankle mobility potentially. There are a few things to consider that might be hindering Keltie's movement here. The leg extension is just a bog stand isolation movement. There's not a massive amount to say. What I would say is, because the leg extension, due to how it's set up and the biomechanics of this movement, so I would always try and kind of hold the contraction for a split second, like the pause at the top, because this is the movement in which your quads are going to be shortened the most. You have to go all the way under and put your knee into a bit of a dodgy position, but when you contract the muscle and finish the rep, really kind of hold that shortened position, because there aren't going to be many other movements in which your quad is shortened to this extent. Lying leg hold, great movement, big fan of this, love it for the hamstrings. I know being tall doesn't help in this case. It can make range of motion a bit harder. Ideally you want to get that pad as close to your bum as possible, if not potentially actually touching your bum. I feel like maybe the weight might be a bit too heavy, might be worth dropping it a bit, or maybe the machine itself makes it really hard to complete the full range of motion, because obviously all machines are different, they're not really the same. The exercises selected as a whole, pretty solid. The RDL is a bit questionable. Personally, I would lean more towards just a regular barbell or dumbbell RDL. I'm not a huge fan of landmine variations in a lot of cases, due to the fact you're lifting a lot less weight when the biomechanics of the movement haven't really changed. If you're going to sacrifice weight, the movement has to change enough for you to justify that. If you're basically doing the same movement but holding it differently, thus lifting less weight, you're now limiting how effective that movement is. I don't really know Keltie, I don't know her content, although I can explore if you would like me to. I'm quite disappointed. More so disappointed with Hanna, because I do know Hanna's content quite well, because I've seen a lot of it in the past. Again, not so much recently, but in the past I have. Previously, I was actually very impressed with a lot of the workouts I was seeing. Granted, the workout itself is pretty solid. Like I said, a few changes I would make personally, but the technical side of things is what's really disappointed me here. From both of them, to be honest, I expected better, and that's all it is. But obviously, before we end, I must throw out the comment question of the week. I'm struggling to understand my BMR. I use my Garmin to see how many calories burned and my FitnessPal to calculate how much I've eaten, and yet at a calorie deficit every month between 500 and 2,000, I've gained 15 pounds. Basically, BMR's a tricky one. These calculators, sure, are a great starting point, but they're not necessarily accurate. Ultimately, the kind of blunt truth of it is, if you are gaining weight, you are not in a calorie deficit. If you're in the earlier stage of lifting, you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time in the kind of newbie gains period, but assuming you're not, it's unlikely you're in a deficit based on what I'm reading here. Let's say you want to go down the route of tracking scale weight and tracking calories and like really focus on those numbers. This is what I would do. Set yourself a calorie number of how many calories you feel like you should be eating each day based on what you've been told by MyFitnessPal, whatever it may be. Eat that number of calories and weigh yourself. Personally, I weigh myself in the morning after going to the toilet and doing what needs to be done, butt naked or maybe in pants, wherever it may be. Try and keep those variables consistent every time you weigh yourself. If you are gaining weight, try dropping your calories by about 250 and then go again again until you find maintenance. If you are losing weight, try upping your calories perhaps until you find the point where weight is near enough stable and maintaining. Once you've found what you are maintaining weight on, you've likely found your maintenance calories. Trial and error is a big thing here. There are 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. In theory, if you're in a 3,500 calorie weekly deficit, you can expect to lose a pound a week. So that's why I kind of drop it by half. So we go to half pound a week and drop calories by 250, maybe even less in some cases, make small minor adjustments until you can find your maintenance weight. But yeah, that is it. That's the video. If you did like the video, please let me know you like the video. 500 likes in the first 24 hours is a big goal. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel. Maybe even tickling the bell next to it and turning on all the notifications because it makes me big happy. Thank you very much. If you do have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, please do drop it down below for Common Question of the Week and I could do so. Thank you for tolerating my waffle. Thank you for tolerating my tips. I do hope they helped. And thank you for tolerating the video.